from assassins with ice picks to royal siblings turning on each other, from political rivals dueling to the death to dictators betrayed by their own kings. Welcome to Peak Visibility, where today we're pulling back the curtain on the egos, betrayals, and power plays that changed the course of history. And what better place to start than with a dictator who thought he was untouchable until his own king stabbed him in the back. Benito Mussolini versus King Victor Emmanuel III. Mussolini was a man who took control of Italy as he rose from a regular journalist to a dictator.
La dichiarazione di guerra è già stata consegnata agli ambasciatori di Gran Bretagna e di Francia.
He wanted to make Italy become powerful again and lead the country like a boss. With his black shirt's followers and propaganda machine, Mussolini ruled with an iron fist, aligning Italy with Nazi Germany during World War II. And to the world, he seemed invincible, a ruthless dictator bent on conquest. But things started going wrong. Italy's army was losing battles and people were getting scared. Victor Emmanuel III, the king of Italy at the time, had quietly grown suspicious of Mussolini. Even though he had let him be the leader, the king didn't trust him anymore. He saw that Mussolini was causing big problems for Italy, and he knew he had to do something. In 1943, as Allied forces invaded Sicily and Italy descended into chaos, Victor Emmanuel made his move. He called Mussolini to a meeting, but instead of talking, the king took away all Mussolini's power and had him arrested. It was like the king pulled a sneaky move and took down the dictator. But Mussolini's story didn't end there. He was freed for a short time by Germany, but soon after, his Italian fighters caught him. They killed him, and then showed his body in public as a warning to others. History is full of intense rivalries like this, where power, betrayal, and ambition lead to deadly consequences. One of the most famous examples happened not in Europe, but in the early days of America, between two founding fathers whose political rivalry turned into a fatal duel. Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr. Alexander Hamilton was one of the important men who helped start America. Hamilton had a brilliant mind, a gifted writer, and a key piece of the country's financial system. He was known for the way he spoke and even had sharper political instincts.
General Washington, there is only one man for the post.
You always were the darndest devil for facing facts, Alexander. Won't you let me die in peace?
General, I won't let you die at all. We are both tired of fighting, but we can neither of us give up until this country has paid its debts, at home and abroad.
Hamilton had strong opinions and didn't hesitate to call out his rivals, making powerful enemies along the way. Aaron Burr, on the other hand, was a skilled politician and lawyer who became the third vice president of the United States. Hamilton and Burr didn't get along because they had very different ideas about how the country should be run. Burr thought Hamilton was bossy and full of himself, while Hamilton thought Burr was sneaky and only cared about himself. Their arguments and fights went on for a long time. Hamilton often stopped Burr from getting important jobs. In 1804, Burr wanted to become the governor of New York, but Hamilton spoke out against him and helped ruin his chances. Burr got so angry that he challenged Hamilton to a duel, and Hamilton accepted. So in 1804, they met in New Jersey with pistols. Hamilton fired his shot into the air because he didn't want to hurt Burr, but Burr aimed straight at Hamilton and shot him in the chest. This resulted in Hamilton dying the next day. The duel shocked America, and Burr was charged with murder, though he was never convicted. His political career, however, was effectively ended.
Hamilton gambled on the fact that Burr would not shoot to kill. Hamilton knew that if Burr did shoot to kill, that Burr would be branded as a murderer, and it would ruin his career.
Hamilton became a legend, remembered for his contributions to the country and for his dramatic, violent end. But while Hamilton and Burr's feud ended in tragedy, history is filled with rivalries that went even darker, where friends turned into deadly enemies and power struggles ended in assassination. Next, we dive into the brutal fight between two Soviet leaders who once stood side by side before their bitter feud tore everything apart: Joseph Stalin and Leon Trotsky. Once friends and close allies, their relationship turned into one of the most bitter power struggles of the 20th century. Stalin was a tough leader who wanted to control everything in the Soviet Union. Leon Trotsky was very smart and also wanted to lead the country, but he had different ideas about how things should be done. At first, they worked together to build the new communist government, but soon they became enemies. Stalin didn't want to share power, so he worked hard to get rid of Trotsky. Stalin used his power over the government and the secret police to push Trotsky out of the Soviet Union. Trotsky fled first to Turkey, then to Mexico, determined to continue opposing Stalin's regime from abroad. But Stalin was relentless. He viewed Trotsky not just as a political opponent, but a threat that had to be eliminated.
Stalin's trial against me is built upon false confessions, extorted by modern inquisitorial methods in the interest of the ruling clique.
So he planned to get rid of him for good. In 1940, Stalin's secret agents found Trotsky living in Mexico City. They sent a man with an ice pick, a small, sharp tool to attack Trotsky. The man struck Trotsky in the head, killing him. It was a shocking and sneaky assassination planned by Stalin to get rid of his enemy once and for all. This terrible fight between Stalin and Trotsky shows how some powerful people will use extreme and violent ways to win. Their rivalry changed history and is remembered as one of the deadliest betrayals between former friends. But history doesn't stop with Stalin and Trotsky, because sometimes betrayal doesn't come from political rivals or distant enemies, it comes from your own blood. Up next is a power struggle so ruthless it tore an entire royal family apart. A queen who played the game better than anyone and may have killed her own siblings to wear the crown. Welcome to ancient Egypt, where family drama was deadly. This is the story of Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt. Cleopatra VII is remembered as one of the most powerful and intelligent women in history. But behind the image of the glamorous queen was a brutal battle for power. When her father, the king of Egypt, died, Cleopatra was supposed to share the throne with her younger brother. Back then, Egypt had a rule that a brother and sister could rule together and even had to get married to make it official. Yes, seriously, it sounds strange today, but it was normal for royal families in ancient Egypt. At first, Cleopatra tried to rule on her own. She dropped her brother's name from official documents and put her face on the coins. But the powerful advisors around her younger brother didn't like that. They forced Cleopatra out of the palace and sent her away. But Cleopatra wasn't done. She came up with a bold plan. She secretly met with Julius Caesar, the Roman general who had just arrived in Egypt. According to legend, she smuggled herself into his palace rolled up in a rug. Whatever happened next, it worked. With Caesar's support, Cleopatra returned to the throne. Soon there was a war between Cleopatra's side and her brothers. Her brother tried to escape, but he drowned in the Nile River. Cleopatra became queen again, this time ruling with another younger brother. But just a few years later, the other brother died. Many people believe Cleopatra had him poisoned to stay in power. Then there was Cleopatra's sister, who tried to take the throne too. Cleopatra had her captured and ordered her to be killed, even though she was hiding in a temple where people were usually safe. So, by the time Cleopatra was firmly in control, all of her siblings were either dead, exiled, or erased from power. It's hard to know for sure what really happened behind the scenes, but Cleopatra made it clear she would do whatever it took to stay in power. From royal families to revolutionary leaders, these rivalries show us one thing. History isn't just shaped by events, it's shaped by people. People with egos, with ambition. With grudges that run so deep, they're willing to risk everything and sometimes lose everything just to come out on top. Benito Mussolini thought he was too powerful to fall until his own king took him down. Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr let their feud end in bullets instead of words. Joseph Stalin turned on a fellow revolutionary and hunted him down across the world. And Cleopatra? She didn't just fight her enemies, she may have destroyed her own bloodline to keep her throne. And no matter how high someone climbs, no one is ever truly untouchable. So the next time you hear about a rivalry on the news or some drama online, just remember, history has already seen it all. If you enjoyed this dive into the craziest beefs in history, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and let us know in the comments which rivalry shocked you the most or which ones we should cover next. Because where there's power, there's always a price.